In a world overrun with an infinite amount of multiverses, originating from a plethora of sources, four longtime friends band together to try to make sense of it all and present it to an audience in an easy-to-digest podcast. This is Geeking Off the Page.
Hello, nerdlings. I'm Gavin, and I'll take the case.
Hello, my name is Troy, and this is Halloween. This is Halloween. Pumpkins scream in the dead of night.
I'm Mike Kitchen, head of the Hidden Leaf Torture Interrogation Service.
And I'm Trevor Brown. I'm currently dressed as Daniel LaRusso, and Daniel LaRusso is going to fight. Welcome back to Geeking Off the Page. If you've been with us so far, we're going to waste at least 2 hours of your time. It'll be great for us, maybe great for you, but we'll find out. Take it away, Troy.
All right, so thank you, Mr. Brown. This is episode 25 of Geeking Off the Page, and this is going to be our Halloween episode. This will be dropping on October 31st, which is not the usual Monday, but we decided that we're recording a little earlier in the week than we normally do by a day, so we have the extra time, so we'll put out our Halloween episode on Halloween. So there we go. So like I said before, it was a collection of friends that have been doing this for years. We're just doing it in this form now where we can all gather through cyberspace to come together to have a conversation that we normally do. And like every single episode, we start off with our coming attractions. So we got quite a few on the list here. And like we were discussing just before recording, now we're probably going to breeze through a couple of these because they're just secondary trailers or just nothing trailers and all that. But you know what? We wrote them down. We're going to do them. And here we go. So the first one we start off with is quite the doozy. And this is Black Friday. So this is going to be both a theatrical and an on-demand release, with a theatrical release on the 19th of November, and a couple of days later on the 23rd, it's going to be available on demand. So this is a really cool, as it says, Black Friday themed story with zombies. At least we think it's zombies. I mean, it's probably going to be zombies, but it doesn't really matter because it stars Bruce Campbell. So Bruce Campbell going up against zombies again, which is actually kind of neat because it's not your typical Ash Bruce Campbell, which is kind of neat. And what's the other gentleman's name?
Which one? Michael J. White?
Thank you. Is also, it looks to be like it doesn't have anything to do with any sort of Raimi universe sort of thing, but it looks like it's an ode to the Evil Dead type Deadite sort of zombie movies and all that. So basically it's a Black Friday sale that the shoppers get turned into zombies, and the people working at the toy store have to basically survive the evening sort of thing. And it looks like it's going to be a romp. What did you guys think of this one?
I think it's 100%. It's a cross between Army of Darkness and Bad Santa, minus Billy Bob Thornton, of course, which Bruce Campbell seems to be doing a fairly good stand-in for that.
Gav, did you get flashbacks from working at Toys R Us of my God, if there was a zombie invasion and I was at work?
I fucking hate Black Friday now. Before Canadians started crossing the borders to basically go to the US to buy all the deals, we never had Black Friday.
No.
And suddenly someone up here goes, well, if we could try to capture all those sales, maybe we could have a Black Friday too. And now we have 2 fucking Boxing Days. 2!
I am glad I am no longer doing retail as my like bread and butter sort of thing, because those were the worst. You always have some great like people that you work with, but you know, I always say retail jobs would be the perfect job if it weren't for the customers. I mean, yeah.
So like what Gavin said is exactly why I like this movie. We'll talk later how I'm not big on the zombie genre. However, when it's a meta story like this, it just really works well. So the idea of the American consumer as a zombie apocalypse, it just lends itself really well to this sort of a story. So I'm actually looking forward to this one.
Oh yeah, for sure, for sure.
For me, as long as I can see Michael Jai White like tornado kick or some other fancy kick a zombie in the face through an aisle of toys, that's all I need to see. Like that little 5 seconds, and I'm like, I don't care about the rest of the movie. It's all awesome because of that.
Trevor's in his happy place now.
Exactly.
All righty then. So, like I said, we got November 17th, 19th, theatrical release. So it's probably not going to be in everybody's market because a couple days later it's going to be on demand. So it'll obviously be some sort of digital viewing that if you want to see this is probably the best, unless you're in like one of the big cities that has this sort of thing happen for you. So next up, we have something that's being released in summer of 2022, and that is Disney Pixar. I guess it is Pixar, right? Because it's
both.
It's yes, Disney Pixar, and it is Lightyear. And so this is basically the story of the actual character that the Buzz Lightyear toy is based on. So this is obviously some sort of movie hero that is voiced by Chris Evans, which is kind of neat. And apparently when you digitize Chris Evans' voice for a toy, it sounds like Tim Allen. So this looks like a really cool, epic sort of sci-fi adventure sort of thing. And it looks like it's going to be a fun Pixar doing like hyper realistic animation that Pixar can do sort of thing. What do you guys think of this? Because I mean, again, it's an animation thing, so it's right up our alleys.
I'm going to start off by saying the opening sequence of Toy Story 2, where Buzz Lightyear, as a character, not as a toy, is buzzing down on that moon,
right?
And he's looking for the hidden power source and all that. And it turns out it's actually just part of a video game. Was one of my favorite openings for a movie. To me, this was Pixar saying, before we jump into the meat of the actual story, this is the shit we can do when we really put our minds to it. When we got some passion behind something, this is what we can do when we're just basically the reins have come off and let the wild horses run wild. And when I saw this trailer, I was like, honestly, I don't really care how they're going to shoehorn a story into this as much, because this is just Pixar being as, creating as dazzling images as they can. It's not realism. It's almost like not even hyper realism. It's their cartoon realism, where the environments and the props have a very real feeling, but then the characters have that very, Incredibles like pseudo realistic style, but still a very cartoon style that kind of dodges that whole uncanny valley.
That's true. It does fall very close into Incredibles territory.
Yeah, it's just the movie looks gorgeous just from the trailer. I will be thrilled to see it. Whether my kids want to see it or not, I will be happily sitting in a seat in a theater watching it. So yeah, this is right up my wheelhouse.
For me, I thought the movie looks completely unnecessary, but it looks really, really fun. And if they're able to cobble together a great story out of it, then I think it's going to be, a really good family movie. It's just something, for the kids to get excited about, cool action sequences. I'm curious if it's going to jump the gap between this and back to the actual Toy Story world, or if it's going to stay 100% locked into this sort of fictional Buzz Lightyear, like canon story, TV show, video game reality. So it'll be interesting to see what they do with that. But again, I don't think it needed to be made, but I mean, what movies do need to be made? As long as it's good and we have fun with it, it should be a good watch.
This is the origin story that I never knew existed, nor did I ever realize that I needed to watch it. But apparently, I want to watch it now. Just watching the trailer, it's just there's so much that grabbed me to pull me in. It was just trying to separate the Buzz Lightyear toy from the Buzz Lightyear character. It was just a moment of clarity for me. It's like, I actually want to see this. Why do I want to see this? Who cares? I want to see this.
And there is like a very small amount of people that do the Buzz Lightyear cosplay So, but they look like the toy. The fact that the suits look like an actual physical human wearable costume. What?
Until the end, where they show
Where he gets the upgrade.
Yeah,
Yeah,
exactly.
He gets the
Yeah,
upgrade armor.
yeah,
You know,
exactly.
I feel like they need to have this one little Easter egg in there somewhere when he's using his communicator or something, and he just goes buzz, 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 buzz.
I mean, I'm sure they're probably going to throw some in jokes like that. Honestly, this kind of looks like the show that they would play that they would then base the merchandise off of, and this is what the toys they buy, you know, the parents are buying for their toys. If this is what this is, all the more power to it. Because this is basically what they would do anyway with a toy series is they take the toy and then they make a series around it to sell the toys. So
yeah, exactly. This is their He-Man. This is their Transformers.
I totally got that vibe. Yeah. The G.I. Joe cartoon.
Yeah, exactly.
Sell all the plastic toys afterwards.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
All right. So speaking of toys, the next up we have on our list is we got the release date for which is the November 23rd on Netflix. We're getting part 2 of Masters of the Universe Revelations. So this basically gives us our second part of the first season of Kevin Smith's version of the Masters of the Universe storyline. And this again has all the feel that you got from that first trailer for the first part. It was definitely all the action, all the really cool stuff. It looks like they give away a little more than I think they should have. I mean, some of those, seeing this trailer, everyone's seen the trailer. Yes. I'm looking around for nods. Okay. And I'll talk while I get acknowledgements from nods. But that final little black screen and Orko's voice is something that could have been saved for this series. That would have been, I was thrilled. I'll admit I got a little bit of goosebumpy from it and all that because that was a fantastic end to Orko in the first part, and the fact that they're all coming back, which is with Kevin Smith. Nobody dies in the Masters of the Universe. They're always going to come back. Having Tila have way more of the sorceress powers and all that sort of thing, I think again could have been saved for a reveal in the show. But hey, all right,
there's a lot they could have saved.
Yeah, we see that Adam gets healed right away, sort of thing.
Things we didn't need to see. We didn't need to see Adam being revived. We didn't need Orko. We didn't need Tila taking the mantle of the sorceress. They could have just had like that very bestial He-Man show up and then leave the question of how did he suddenly show up? Like, is this like a He-Man unrestrained with Prince Adam at the controls? Is this just like a wild savage? That would have been like, oh God. And that probably would have shortened the trailer from 250 down to a minute. Just enough to say, blam, here's some images of what's coming up. Here's Skeletor as a god. Here's the release date. And I would have been happy. They gave too much away.
My only beef with the trailer so far is it gave me all of the same like, oh, I can't wait to see this kind of feel from that as you said with the first one. But my biggest issue with it is they're fully embracing that god awful trope is of you had the power in you all along.
That was another thing that I was a little
come on.
Yeah, I rolled so hard. My eyes rolled so hard at that.
Yeah, that was a little bit too much too. That would have been okay. It would have been okay in the episode, but giving it to us on the trailer, and mind you, having Skeletor react to it, like, wait, what? I mean, that's
what are we talking about?
But I like what they did with Evil Lynn. Evil Lynn having the new powers as well looks kind of cool. The fact that they throw in a bunch of the other characters who we only got glimpses in the first season look like they come back for a giant battle in the next part and all that. So I mean, it's all going to be there in one time. It's Netflix, so 5 episodes. 5 episodes? Yeah, 5 episodes.
One thing I really did like was when they reveal Skeletor in the full god mode. Is he's got almost like the bandolier that He-Man would wear, but as a glowing scar across his chest. So we're like, okay, so that's kind of like whoever has the power of Grayskull is going to have one of those things in some form or another.
Yeah, for myself, I'm not sold. First season, I renewed my Netflix just to watch this. I didn't like where it went. It wasn't the kind of stories that I wanted from a He-Man franchise, and I was really let down. So this trailer didn't do anything to get me excited for the second season. I'm afraid it's going to use the same tropes that I didn't like from season 1. The same kind of stuff in season 2. I hope I'm wrong. I hope that it kind of redeems itself, because He-Man's always been a fun franchise, fun characters. But I think you have to really lean into the archetypes of the characters, lean into the main heroes and villains. Like, I want to see more He-Man. I want to see more Skeletor. I want to, like, more of the classic story elements. You can upgrade it, you can have fun with it, but because the first season seemed to stray so far away from that, at least in my opinion, and the second trailer, it didn't do enough to captivate me. Like, there wasn't enough redemption in the trailer to get me really excited. I hope I'm wrong, but we'll see.
So who's going to correct them? So this is basically the second part of the first season, Mike. So it basically, the first season got cut into 2. So second season is in production now.
It's the second part. So it's like we got the first wave, whatever you want to call it. First wave, second wave.
Well, no, because
season, whatever. But in fact, that almost gets me a little bit more scared, because it is one split in half. That it's like, I don't think there was enough time to rejig the things that went wrong. I think that, like, who knows? It's just such a weird. You have 5 episodes, the first one, where there's enough time there to really set a hook. But instead, the first episode I loved. For me, that was the best one. And then after that, it just kind of like kind of went apart. There are a couple cool moments happened. I liked the Orko episode. I liked Skeletor, but it just didn't captivate me. So if you're selling me on the last 5 episodes based on the first 5, I'm just not sold on it.
Okay, no, that's fair. That's fair to say. It's just that, like, Kevin Smith himself has said that this is a full arc of all the episodes together. So that's, and he's also been mentioning how people have had the same attitude that you have had, Mike. He has mentioned several times that you just got to wait for the second part. It all pays off with the second part, sort of thing. So,
man,
I mean,
we'll see. I hope so.
Oh yeah,
I hope that's what happens.
Yeah. I mean, I'm gonna watch it anyways. Like, I mean, I enjoy the first part, and I understand. Yes, there was a lot that was totally, but that cliffhanger ending was all like, oh yes, give me more, please. So, all right,
more Skeletor is great.
Oh, more Skeletor, more friggin' Mark Hamill Skeletor is even better. Yeah.
Yes.
All right, so we're gonna move on to the next thing, and I'm hoping someone else will be able to give me a little more insight into this. And this is apparently Amazon Prime Video is having the first season trailer for The Wheel of Time, which actually is going to begin on November 19th. So apparently this is a book series, 14.
An enormous book series.
Yeah, an enormous book. I believe I heard something about 14 books or something like that. And that basically are like dragons versus the Dark One or something like that. I unfortunately don't have any knowledge of this. I will say that not having any knowledge of this and watching this trailer, I'm like, ooh, this looks cool. This is very sword and sorcerer. This is very Dungeons and Dragons, like how Dungeons and Dragons should be done, sort of thing. So to find out afterwards that, oh, it's a 14-book series, so you have a lot of lore to pull from. So that's good. So
yeah, for myself, I've been familiar with it. Like I've heard of it. I knew it was a thing that existed. And then when I heard that Amazon was making this, it's like, oh, that could be kind of fun. Then looking at the trailer, it's like, oh, it could be amazing if you have this big series that is beloved and you're able to pull from it and give a long string of stories that can like captivate your audience. It's not like it's one novel where you're trying to stretch into a franchise. It's already a franchise. It's already a series. So at least that gives something for the directors to work with. So I hope it'll be fun.
I read all of it.
Of course you did.
That's why I was going to save you for
in a weekend, right? In a weekend, right?
No. These are like phone books in thickness. These are
okay. All right.
Big ass thick books that you have a lot of characters you're juggling. Like the main party is like 7 characters, because you got like a couple of farm boys and like one of the young village elders and one of the farm boys' girlfriends, and then you've got this older like ageless witch and her bodyguard, and it grows like in leaps and bounds. Like every chapter they're seemingly adding more characters and a lot of Mike, I think you'd like the series because there is a lot of political intrigue through the whole book. Now it is somewhat sword and sorcery, but there's really no dragons per se. The dragon it's a
character, right?
It's a character. It's basically the whole premise is there are two kinds of magic. There's basically magic that the women use, magic that the guys use, and long ago the magic the guys use was tainted. So any man that uses the man magic eventually goes
insane or something.
Goes
like that,
insane
right?
and has to be put down like a rabid dog.
Oh,
and
really?
Women,
I didn't hear that.
Yeah, and the women, the core group of women magic users, their whole
Bene Gesserits?
Their whole thing is they hunt down the men specifically to stop a man from gaining enough power to basically destroy the world.
Oh,
so they go out and they go looking for
excited now.
Yeah, they go looking for.
Well, no, knowing more of the lore.
Yeah, knowing like looking for men who have access to this power, in essence, to kill them. And so the story takes place where we have these three guys, and they're not sure which one it is. They just know that somehow these three are tied to the strands of fate are kind of bending around these three individuals. They're not sure how or why, and so it's, and as I said, like it's all those books. It's just you really have to read deep. Because if you just try to do like a quick surface read, you're missing so much of what's going on. And then the later books, you're just going to be lost because you're like, I don't understand what's going on. Like how this happened. You're like, oh crap, now I gotta go back and reread 2 books.
So after reading all those books and seeing the trailer, how close do you think they nailed it?
I think they got a lot of it pretty close. Like I don't know how they're breaking the books up. Like, are they saying season 1 is book 1? Or are they saying season 1 is like the first half of book 1? Or season 1 is, we're doing book 1 through 4.
Right.
Because if they try to cram like 2-3 books into a single season, it's going to be garbage. Because again, they're just to make it fit, they're going to have to just pair off so much that in the early books seems inconsequential, but in later books is a major deal. So, yeah, I'm really hoping that Amazon is invested for the long haul with this one, and they take their time. They let the story develop. The thing is, these stories are rich enough; they shouldn't have any filler episodes. Because it feels like reading it felt like just as you finish one book, there are the hooks there to get you right into the second book. And when I got to a point where I'd caught up with where the writer was before he passed away, into the next book, you were just like, can he be done writing this now? Because I need to see where this goes. Because there are characters that you quickly identify with, characters you despise, that over time you grow to identify with them more than other characters. And it was very well written, a very captivating story. So when I first heard that they were going to put it into some sort of media format, I was like, please do not make it just a 2-hour movie. I'm thrilled they're doing it as a series. I just hope they decide to take it slower and get through the books, because there's stuff that seems inconsequential in book 1 that is like a major plot point that is like the 4th book is all about something that was set up in the 1st book. So
how does that compare to A Song of Ice and Fire?
Song and Ice and so Game of Thrones, they consciously cut out specific characters just because they knew they weren't going to be able to execute them properly. And then like
for the HBO series,
so, and then the last 2 seasons of the HBO series, they were completely off the rails, and like the last season was just garbage.
And they completely ran out of tracks. Like the story had stopped.
Well, the thing is,
George R. R. Martin hadn't written the end yet.
Well, he hadn't written, so they were just kind of like going off their own writing. And I think it was a case of, it's like reading Da Vinci's notes, painting from his paintings, and then going to a point of, well, I can paint just like Da Vinci, and then just like, I'm going to paint a kitten batting around a ball of yarn, something Da Vinci never did. And then you look at it, you're like, oh God, that's horrible. That's not right, but you've already sold it. And you're like, well, crap. So this one.
But have you read the books for that Song of
Yeah,
Song of Ice and Fire.
yeah, I'm right up to the waiting for
Okay.
the next book to be released.
So for the actual novels themselves, do you think Wheel of Time is same caliber? Like, is it the same?
It is. I mean, it's not really apples and oranges. It's like different species of apples.
In what way? Like, what's
both damn delicious? They're both tasty. They're both filling. They're both red, and you both want to. And both basically you want to consume them both. So, yeah, both make great pies. So yeah, it's like I liked I like the Game of Thrones series, the Song of Fire and Ice. I can't wait to see where the next book goes because I know it's going to be completely different than the HBO series.
Yeah.
Wheel of Time, again, because there's so many books, they honestly could run this like 15 seasons, and even then have to trim some stuff out just in terms of, unless each episode is going to be like an hour and a half long. It's a lot. As I said, like these things, when you see them stacked in like like on a bookshelf, it's like phone books stacked next to one another. There's no slim novels with these ones. They're all like 500, 600, 700 pagers.
Wow. Okay. Wow.
Yeah.
And when did these actually start? When were they originally written?
Eye of the World came out in the 80s.
1990s. I think I saw.
He was written in the first book took him the longest, like almost 6 years. I think it took him to write it.
Okay.
Because he kept going back and rewriting it as more ideas came.
Yeah. Right.
He could develop later on.
Yeah. If you're gonna do that much world building in your first book,
yeah. I read the first book before I started at Sheridan, so that was before 92.
Yeah.
Okay.
And I remember reading some of the books while at Sheridan, and reading a lot more of them after I graduated. So, yeah.
Okay, so these have basically been going on for, well, obviously, you said they're done now, right? 14 novels. Yeah. So okay.
Yeah, right. The first one came out in, I want to say,
it says January 1990.
Oh right, yeah, because I got it like a year or two before I graduated high school. And then, yeah, they kept going, and I just kept reading. Now he died in 2006, 2007.
Yep.
So the last, I think 2 or 3, I think the third to last book was completed by another author, and then, or maybe the last 2 books were completed by. Or no, sorry, yeah, the last 3 books were actually completed by someone else using his notes. This guy, I guess, had extensive notes for all of it because he had it all planned out.
Right.
So,
wow.
Yeah.
Okay. So there's a lot more lore than I was expecting out of that. So
yeah, I know the audiobooks. If you were to listen to the audiobooks one after another, it would take you 2/3 of a month to listen to them, like 20 plus days.
The fact that they're out there.
Days.
The fact that they're out there too is that's quite the undertaking to begin with. Holy crap.
Yeah. So yeah, it's to me it was like the modern version of a Lord of the Rings in terms of scope. Because this guy didn't think small, and so he just kept writing and writing and writing and writing and writing. So when I heard of this series, I'm interested to see how they handle it. I think within the first 3 or 4 episodes, it's either going to completely turn me off, or I'm going to be like, when's season 2 coming? When's season 2 coming? Because by the time I know I'm going to get to the end of season 1 and go, this isn't enough.
Right. All right, cool. All right, so moving on, we got another one from a classic director. This is being released on February 18th, so a great Valentine's Day weekend friggin' date movie is Ambulance. Brought to us by good old Michael Bay. It looks like a much smaller scale than we're used to seeing Michael Bay do. It looks like he's trying to do a more character-driven sort of thing. He's got Jake Gyllenhaal in one of the lead roles and all that.
What do you mean? The explosions are characters themselves?
Yeah, well, yes, exactly, yes, yeah.
That's Harold, the explosion.
Basically, it's a bank heist goes wrong, and then the 2 buddies that are trying to survive this bank heist end up hijacking an ambulance. So halfway through the movie we get our titular ambulance.
Looks
Again,
like the Cannonball Run.
exactly. Yes, exactly.
Dun dun dun. Captain Chaos.
It feels like really Bad Boys, basically.
It does. It looks like, ooh, let's do Bad Boys from the other side of the law. And it just, I mean, it's a Michael Bay, but a good Michael Bay was a 90s Michael Bay. Recent Michael Bay has not been good Michael Bay, even with Michael Bay's name on it when he's not in charge. This one is actually directed by Michael Bay. So, I mean...
Is it written by Michael Bay?
That I did not catch. I saw another big name, like when the final like screen of the credits shows, it says Michael Bay and some other person's name. So that might have been, I didn't catch that name, but still, I mean,
it's based on, I'm looking it up right now, it's based on a Danish film of the same name.
oh, it's a remake.
Yeah.
Oh, great. Oh,
Yeah.
that would explain why when ambulance, the name ambulance is written there, the LA of ambulance is highlighted. So this is to prove that this is the American version of it.
Oh, Lord.
Oh, this just dropped a level for me.
Yeah.
I will wait till Netflix. That's the long and short of that.
I'm definitely not paying money to go see this in the theater. That is for sure. Wow.
I may ask Netflix to refund my money for that month when I watch it.
The thing that's sad is because it should be awesome.
It should be, yes.
You know, action and guns and explosions and cool camera angles and cinematography. But again, Michael Bay's let me down too many times, Transformers. And with spinning cameras and shards of metal and too much stuff going on that you can't focus on anything. And it should be exciting. You look at the stuff, it's like, I should be into this. But I'm not. I'm just not. Just no.
Maybe the Bay style directing is just not that appealing anymore.
You know what? I would think that I think that it's tainted by the Michael Bay name. I'm sure that if we saw this and it didn't have Michael Bay's name on it, and we thought, ooh, that looks kind of cool. Ooh, that looks like kind of a cool action sort of thing. But
thing is I like heist films. But after, Snyder's attempt, and then knowing that Bay is basically ripping, not ripping off, but he's remaking probably what was a pretty successful film anyway. Yeah. I'm oh God. It's not that hard to come up with a plot line for a heist film. Do you really have to remake someone else's?
Yeah, exactly.
People still shit. I mean, how hard is that to figure out?
And following in suit, we have the trailer. Well, I guess sort of some sort of teaser, some sort of, hey, look at the special effects that we're going to have in our movie sort of thing. Because there's nothing much more to this next trailer than that. And being released in 2022 is Moonfall. And these are brought to you by the people who brought you such great flicks as...
Come on.
Oh, sorry. I thought
Independence Day.
Yeah.
Roland Emmerich, the man who hates monuments and buildings.
Yep. And you can tell by this.
Destroy every chance.
And in this one, his giant monument that he has taken out is the Earth with the moon. It looks like one of those. It's probably going to have a really cool cast. It's going to be ensemble cast because he always does that sort of thing. I mean, Independence Day, the day after tomorrow, Godzilla. I mean, it's that type of movie just with
Can I read the
special
premise?
effects. What? Oh yeah,
Can I read the premise?
Go for it.
A mysterious force knocks the moon from its orbit around Earth and sends it hurtling on a collision course with life as we know it. I mean, already I'm just like, ugh, wah, wah. With mere weeks before impact and the world on the brink of annihilation, NASA executive and former astronaut Joe Fowler, Halle Berry, is convinced that she has the key to saving us all. But only one astronaut, one. From her past, Brian Harper, Patrick Wilson, conspiracy theorist K.C. Houseman, John Bradley, believe her. These unlikely heroes will mount an impossible last-ditch mission into space, leaving behind everyone they love, only to find out that our moon is not what we think it is. It's cheese! Dun, dun, dun.
Well, no,
just set up a bunch of space mice.
According to Doctor Who, it's a giant egg.
Just send up a bunch of space mice, have it eat the cheese moon, and we're good.
There you go.
This is like the Reese's peanut butter cups of like disaster movies. It's Armageddon meets Dead Space, basically.
Yeah.
It was just like, what mysterious force? What could it be? Is it a cosmic fart? Jesus. I mean,
If Michael Bay was involved, it would be a cosmic explosive fart.
cosmic explosion. Yeah, but it was just like, it's like when I saw Moonfall, like the title, I'm like, what, is the moon gonna fall on us? And then I saw the trailer and I read the premise and I'm like, wow, how long did it make them to look at them? What if it fell on us? I can write a movie about that. We got to make sure we destroy the Chrysler building, though. It starts.
Well, the thing with the moon is there's so many interesting things you can do, especially when you go into weird conspiracy holes on different stuff of the moon, like the fact that the moon is the exact same size as the sun in the sky. That mathematically that should be impossible to have happen, right? There's all things.
It's not mathematically impossible. It's
the chances of
Very
that happening
unlikely.
is ridiculous. The idea that it could be hollow and could be alien things inside it, the fact that it could be a chunk of the earth that's been ejected into space and built up, like there's so much neat stuff you could do with that. But to have just a moon falling down and Halle Berry has to go do something, it's like, if you're going to do a movie like this, like tap into all the crazy ideas, all the crazy theories.
The conspiracy theorist guy is going to be, he's probably going to be spouting 90% of what you said and then some.
Maybe. Sorry, guys. Spoilers. But even the dark side of the moon, right? Like the fact that there could be a base on the other side. There's so much fun stuff. So I don't know. If they tap into that, it could be an entertaining story. If it's just throwaway lines and just generic actions,
that's what it's going to be. It's going to be a bunch of catchy one line, but it's just like the one man. What if it's a woman? One woman. I mean, they just should get the movie trailer guy. I know Fontaine's dead, but the other newer guy who does all the
new guy, yeah.
Just get him to do the one woman. You know, it would fit. It feels like this was written on the back of a wet cocktail napkin at a bar at 1:30 in the morning. It honestly does.
One of those AI script writers where it just compiles a bunch of random things. It's like
not even that good. Not honestly, not just someone digging through a dumpster outside of an elementary school and like, ooh, this sounds interesting. This is some good dialogue. I think that was written by a third grader. It's good. So
wow. Yeah, exactly. Yeah. So to continue on, we actually get a actual full trailer for the Netflix series, which comes out on November 19th of Cowboy Bebop. So the trailer that we saw last week was more of like a concept sort of teaser that we got that looked really cool. And now this one,
interspersing the live action with the animated opening, essentially.
Yeah, exactly. And this gives us a little more of what the actual world is probably going to be actually truly like and all that. And it looks, again, as entertaining as hell. And from my knowledge of Cowboy Bebop, it looks like fantastic for doing a live action.
It is bang on, absolutely bang on. When I saw Spike's red spaceship in the background, oh my God. They have been paying so much attention to the details in this. I really, really, really hope they don't fuck this up.
Well, there are scenes that are framed right out of the episodes, like where a character standing on one side and something else is in the foreground, or things like that. It's like they just lifted the frame right out of the animation and said, "All right, this is our starting point. This is our setup for the scene. Go." It looks, I mean, just beautiful things like that. Like the composition sometimes just jaw-dropping.
Yeah, somebody did an anime to live action comparison of the latest trailer, and it looks like it's almost a shot for shot from the anime. And of course, it is changed up a bit, but you definitely capture the essence of the anime throughout the entire thing. Just like Gavin was saying, like the ship designs and character designs and just the overall attitude and feel of the entire thing. So the first trailer had me. And this one is like, I'm all in.
The sheer amount of attention that they're paying to all of this, like just these little tiny pieces Oh God, I swear to God, if they fuck this up.
Now, have we been able to ascertain if there was any sort of like storyline that they're taking from the series, or they're coming up with their own sort of thing? Because again, I don't know the series well enough to piece anything together from what we've actually seen, but does it look like anything?
Well, we haven't seen any sign of a Yorkie yet, or no, sorry, a corgi.
Yeah.
So who knows?
Yeah, it's hard to say if they're pulling from a specific episode or a specific season yet, because they haven't shown enough of scenes that kind of link together to show us. So
Yeah,
I'm kind of
okay.
hoping they don't, because I want to jump into this with fresh eyes. I don't want to like, oh, it's from that
you
episode.
don't want to, yeah, you don't want to know, oh, I know what's going to happen now, sort of thing.
Yeah.
But that would be a whole totally other undertaking to be able to make something that fits into the universe than something that already exists in the universe, especially as now, could they do both? Could they sort of do some sort of story that's already there and then spin off into their own sort of thing? But again, you're also going to be pulling in people that have never seen Cowboy Bebop and then thought, hey, this looks kind of cool, let's watch this sort of thing.
I feel that the series is strong enough that they can pull storylines from the anime and make it work. They don't need to reinvent the wheel.
Maybe there's some amalgamation of the storylines too, just sort of to stitch some of them together a little more.
All right, cool. So the next thing we're going to go on to is something that someone put up in our little feed, the conversation that we have when we're building up these episodes. And basically, Netflix on November 17th is releasing Tiger King 2. So if you're unfamiliar with what Tiger King is,
Haven't seen the first
skip.
one. I heard
Just skip.
all about
Just-
it.
Yeah, just keep going on with the lives. Do not go back to Tiger King. There is no reason to go into Tiger King. And you know
I
what?
watched the first episode. Absolutely nothing redeeming about it.
No, and there's no reason for this Tiger King 2 to be out. It's just another, it's rubbernecking. It's rubbernecking on the highway. It's people just like, and it'll get views, which is stupid because Tiger King got all the views, and this is going to get all the views. And it's basically,
I think Tiger King got all the views because everyone was stuck at home.
Tiger King came
If the
around at the right
pandemic
time, yes.
hadn't happened, if people hadn't been quarantined at home, I think Tiger King would have gone onto Netflix and left Netflix, and no one would have noticed. But when you're stuck at home and you're like, oh God, what else can I watch? I've watched all the movies I want to watch. Oh, look, a documentary series. Well, what the hell? And then you pick up your phone and you're like, you won't believe the train wreck I just saw. And they're like, really? What was it called? And that's exactly how I think Tiger King got all the hype about it that it did, and got so many people watching, just like, you won't believe what they put on there. You won't believe what this whole, and like, it can't be as bad as you say it is. And you watch like, it was worse. I got to tell somebody. That's
exactly
like
the way I heard of it. And again,
it was
I
a
haven't
communicable
watched it.
disease. You get it, and you got to share it. So yeah. Like, I gotta pass this on to somebody. I can't be the only one to
Indeed,
suffer.
Netflix
You don't
transmittable
gotta
disease.
share it. You don't gotta share it. There's no
I
reason
gotta
for
share
this.
this. I gotta
It's Netflix herpes. That's what it is.
exactly.
Oh, for your eyes, for your soul.
Ah!
It's your
Yeah.
soul that it infects. The soul of anyone who watched Tiger King.
Why would you watch that?
Exactly. That's what we're talking about, is how Tiger King 2 is coming out, Adrian.
Isn't he dead?
On November. No, he's in jail. And it seems like he does like his interviews from on the phone in jail, and then
Why?
the crew follows around everyone else who's
But
made.
legally, he's not allowed to be paid for that.
He's not
And you
being
know why?
paid, but everyone
You know
else
why?
is being paid.
Carol fucking Baskin. All right, can we move on?
All right, so we're gonna move on to what we got now is a actual another little trailer for Hawkeye, which is, again, there's nothing new to this and all that. We actually have a couple of extra little scenes and all that, which is kind of neat. We see some more character development and whatnot, and basically that's about it. We know that on the 24th of November that the actual series is going to be released. We are getting
Yeah, so we just found out a couple new scenes. We now know the release date, which is right around the damn corner. We can't get there soon enough. We do confirm that Hawkeye's family, including his wife, is going to be kind of like on the other end of the phone. And it's a 6-episode event, which I hope this is as good as WandaVision, like to that level of quality. We'll have to wait and see. This is in essence, I think this whole 6th episode is less about Jeremy Renner's Hawkeye and more setting up Kate Bishop's Hawkeye. I think that we're going to see Jeremy Renner, basically he's like, no, he's no longer Hawkeye. He's Ronin. Now that Black Widow's gone, he's no longer Hawkeye. Kate Bishop's going to take the role, and this is going to set up some sort of new Avengers later on in the MCU.
Yeah, that sounds pretty much what we're expecting to see. And like we said, they're releasing 2 episodes on the first night, the first day that it's being released. So that means that when it comes to the end, it won't conflict with the Book of Boba Fett starting on the exact same date. So they're a week apart. So yeah, because doubling those 2 up would have been just like all the servers will crash. So yeah. So we're just got 1 or 2 other things here and all that. And one of the other things is we're Netflix heavy with our trailers and all that. And we got the full trailer for season 2 of The Witcher, which is going to be released on the 17th of December. And again, I am not the expert for Witcher because I did not get through season 1, but this looks pretty sweet. This through osmosis, I was able to absorb information about.
It's a witch. We'll take over. So for The Witcher, like this is a series that I knew of because of the video games, and I knew that there were the novels, but I didn't experience either of them. With Henry Cavill coming off of Superman, I was excited to see him. Well, actually, I guess he came from Mission Impossible too, but a role that I could really get behind with this character, because the Superman was too dark and moody. But okay, Witcher is dark and moody, but he should be, and so that's more fun. And Netflix always bothers me because they have that whole department of diversity that likes to kind of tinker and get their fingers into different things with casting and stuff, just to try and make it more diverse. But I think sometimes it can muck with the story. But this is one where you could tell that they did that, but I don't think it hurt the story. I thought the entire way through was a lot of fun, and I'm really looking forward to season 2.
I as well. I did play video games. Witcher 1, 2, and 3. I did read some of the books. And to me, The Witcher so far, season 1 was a great way of introducing people to the characters, to the world. He's not like the end all be all hero who just walks through every scenario with barely a flick of a sword, and he's killed all the bad guys, because in the end, Geralt isn't really one of the good guys. He's just basically a mercenary making his way through, and it's nice. It's refreshing. He's not like the uber hero. That being said, he's not someone you want to screw with. He's not someone you want to meet in a dark alley, especially if you've pissed him off and didn't pay him. So when I saw the trailer for season 2, it had just enough little moments of not only Gerald, but some of the other characters that kind of like, you could feel the hook sinking into your skin, dragging you to your screen, and you're thinking, yeah, I'm going to be there. Yeah, on the day it's dropped, I'll be at least binging at least 2 or 3 episodes. I'll try not to binge them all, but I'm not going to promise that either, because things could happen. So yeah, there's enough really great little moments that it's a well done series. And yeah, some of the characters are different than they were in the video game or different than they were in the book, but I agree that there was an interview I read from the series creator where he basically said he doesn't care who's cast in the role as long as they can act the role as it was intended. You know,
That's
as
a
long as
great endorsement to get from the author.
yeah, I mean, if the guy who created all this is like, he's like, I'm fine with it. I don't think anyone else can say, well, I don't think that's right. Well, if the guy who created it is fine with it, then you have to be fine with it too. If you agree with his work, then, you know, by law of nature, you're going to have to, if he says he's okay with it and it's his, then you're going to be okay with it. If you say no, then you're saying you know better than the guy who created this, which is a whole lot of ego on that part. So,
Of course, devil's advocate, it could be the buckets of Netflix money talking, right?
the thing is,
But at the same time,
honestly, with the amount of success that he got from, you know, the video game and the books, however big of a truck that they drove up to his house full of money probably wasn't the biggest influence for him to say yes or no.
right? It's like, just add it to the other stash over there.
Yeah, just throw it on the pile. And I know that there were other companies bidding on it. So I think he went with Netflix because they were like, we will try to be as faithful to the books in terms of the quality of story we tell. And they have been. They've as I said, they didn't just turn around and say, oh, he's like, you know, he's Superman with a sword. I mean, he gets hurt. He's wrong. He's, you know, he's fallible. He gets dirty. You know, it's he's almost everything Superman is, and he's definitely not a Boy Scout. So,
and one thing, like with not reading the books or playing the games, like anything that interests me, I like to do a deep dive research into it. So one thing I thought was interesting with first season is it's not the first book or story. It's like middle of the series, and like Yennefer wasn't one of the main characters in the first book. So, and she's front and center in this. So like when you look at the first season and the trailer for the second, like where do you think they're pulling this up from? Is it still the core, or are they making new stuff up?
I don't know enough from what they've shown to try to thread it together to see what stories they're telling. And I'm good with that. I don't want to have that foreknowledge before I sit down and start watching the show of like, oh, well, this is the episode where this and this happens. Like, I just want to look at it with fresh eyes. I really.
This is the Red Wedding. It's like, what?
Exactly. Just let me watch it. Don't tell me about it first.
And also another nice thing about it is this is actually a Netflix production. It's not like they've purchased it from someone else. They're actually fitting the bill forever. They're the one that are producing it. They're the ones that are hiring everyone to act and work on it, sort of thing, which is kind of a nice thing that they've invested not only the money to bring it to Netflix, but to actually produce it through Netflix, which is, again, when Netflix does that sort of thing, it always seems to be a much more intense, much more involving and entertaining product when it comes out. Instead of them.
You just made an interesting point, Troy. What about Cowboy Bebop? Is that
as far as I know, that is also
well?
that is a Netflix production as well. Yes, which is an unusual thing to do again, but I think they might have proved that they can do it with The Witcher to be able to do something like a Cowboy Bebop. Now, it might have been a company that has been trying, because it's from what I understand, they've been trying to make a Cowboy Bebop live action for like years, and it just never come to fruition. And I think just the right people happen to hit the right people at the right time, and kismet. And yes, this is as far as I know, I there's a good chance that I could be wrong, but as far as I know, I think everything that I have read about it is that this is actually a Netflix production. But we're now talking about The Witcher, so and then we just got
timey-wimey.
Yeah, timey-wimey, exactly, yes. So we just got one other tiny little thing, and at the last minute, someone dropped a little, I guess it was a little game trailer for this game called Star Atlas. And there isn't much to it other than the fact that it looks gorgeous. The environments look spectacular. This is more than likely all cut screens and whatnot, but anyone else, like Trevor, you're the one that put it up there. What do you know about this particular?
I know it's a what is the game called type they call it, where it's like a data mining game. So you're using many computers to I'm trying to think of what the word is called. Anyone help me out here? Class, anyone? All right, thanks.
Bitcoin?
Gav, come on, Kev, say something.
I'm in the can.
Oh, great. I'm just trying to think of what's called. Right on the tip of my mind. Why is it not working?
This is a first, ladies and gentlemen.
I know. My brain's not working right now. So Star Atlas is a game of, it's like a big strategy game, exploration, conquest. It's all these sorts of things. And the whole idea is the game, you're using your computer as a AAA crypto game. So while you're playing the game, the unused processing power of your computer is being used to, do crypto mining and shit like that. And the more people play, the more computer power that can be harnessed.
Do you get the crypto, or does somebody else get it? Does the game developer get the crypto?
I don't know these things. All I saw was the trailer popped up on my feed. I watched it. It looked really nice. But this is probably a way they're going to use to hook people to go onto the Star Atlas site, sign up for the game. I think it's a free download to play the game. It's basically a blockchain. That's the word I'm looking for, a blockchain game. So it's basically you're trying to link computers around the world to a single endeavor.
And I guess it's probably using NFTs and things like that as well then, right? Because that's a huge
Sort
thing
of like how Sony had folding at home going on with PlayStation 3s.
Exactly. So the whole idea is while you're playing the game, the processing power of your computer's being used for crypto mining. It's kind of like, instead of just while you're asleep, we're using your computer sort of thing. It's like, hey, play this game. We'll entertain you. Meanwhile, we use some of the processing power that you're not using. For some people, that's a fair trade-off because they weren't using it anyway. May as well do something good, useful with it. But the game itself looks pretty damn good. They've put some money into this. If you look at some of the gameplay trailers, obviously it's not going to look as nice as that little teaser we watched, but it's still pretty nice looking. So yeah, it was an interesting little thing. I said, the trailer popped up, I watched it. It was like, they put some money into this. They want people to play it. It's a great little hook. Will I play it? I don't know. But if they made a movie of this, I would definitely watch it.
Oh yeah, from the look of it, it has potential of looking like the cutscenes look like a fantastic thing, and I will definitely watch a friggin' playthrough on YouTube of this game because, yeah, just that it has like this like friggin' Star Wars epic sort of space battle sort of feel to it, and the character designs look cool. But yeah, I mean,
and they are definitely using the NFTs, so the non-fungible tokens.
Really?
So,
wow.
There's a whole thing on Star Atlas coins and how the in-game economy works. So the idea with an NFT then is using the blockchain. Theoretically, you could have something, whatever it is, if it's a spaceship or skin or weapon or whatever, because it's part of the blockchain. Like, you can't duplicate it, you can't fake it or hack it. So, but then you can also trade it, and the blockchain would be able to like transfer ownership of items in games. So if that's the way they're kind of building the in-game economy, that could be really interesting.
Yeah, it makes it so people can't pay to win.
Wow. But you have to pay to play though, right?
I don't know yet. Like, it hasn't been officially launched.
Okay.
At least out of an alpha or beta sort of scenario. Right. But to me, one of the key things that actually steer me away from video games are ones where, if you buy the game, or even if it's free to play, like, ooh, well, for $50 more, we're going to give you an uber weapon and maybe some armor, and you can just mow down, anyone who hasn't paid that much money. But if you pay $100, and next thing you know, people have dropped like, a couple of grand into a game where normally you would have paid $60 and had the whole game anyway. It's this economy of microtransactions and pay to win. And the second I find a game is pay to win, I'm I'm going the other direction. I want to pay one fee for a game and then it's mine and I can play it however I want. I don't want to be constantly paying for a game with a season pass or buying weapons or buying stuff or buying the rest of the game to finish it off. That's one of my pet peeves.
Alrighty then. So that wraps up our, unless anyone else has anything to say about that particular thing. Anyone? Bueller?
Nope.
Bueller? All right. So we got a couple of kind of cool little pieces of news that dropped on us. We got actually about 4 really quick articles we can chat on about. First of all, we had some Marvel setbacks. We starting next year, it looks like they're actually putting more of a delay into our theatrically released Marvel Universe movies. And starting off with, I believe it's Doctor Strange is being pushed back about from a May to a March sort of release. And I believe instead of being 3 months in between each movie, they're now spreading them out to 5 months in between each movie. And again, it's just obviously some sort of like reaction to COVID, like winding down and theaters starting to, people getting more comfortable with going to the theaters because they want to make sure that they're getting them into the theaters at a time when it is safe for a theater to be completely filled with people once again. And they're just hedging their bets that they're pushing everything a little back because no matter what, people are still going to go see these movies. They just want to make sure that it's at a time when people are comfortable with going to see these movies, because I don't think they're going to be doing especially, well, obviously because we're talking Marvel, I don't think Marvel is going to do the drop onto Disney the day of as well. You may get a little closer, like Shang-Chi is about to be dropped onto Disney Plus because it's almost up to the 45 days after. We might end up with that sort of thing right now, but I think just theatrically, it's probably going to be, that's the reason why they're doing this. Yes, Mr. Brown, what do you have to say?
I have a little bit of insider information. I'm not going to state my source, but someone I know who is working on the effects for there's 5 films that have been pushed. And the person I know is currently working on one of those 5 films. And this person was told by their supervisors that Disney is giving more time for some of these films because some people are still working from home. Some of these effect studios are not working at full in-house capacity. The work is being farmed out to people at home. And so they realized to get some effects aren't being done to a quality that Marvel/Disney is accepting right now. They're saying we need stuff redone or we need more time to get stuff done. And it's a cascade effect. So if we take more time to add on to Project A to get it finished, well, that's eating into Project B's time, which is eating into Project C. So everything's kind of being shoved back a bit to give a little bit more time because as I said, there are some studios that are not, people have not returned physically back into the studio to work, but they're working from home, but they may not have all the resources they would have if they were working in studio. So some of this is waiting for what you said is, they want more people back in the theaters, but also they want the films completed to a certain level of quality so that when they are released to theaters, they don't get stuff like what happened with Cats where, they had 20 unfinished scenes, it went to theater. Yeah. And as the weeks went on and those scenes were completed, they were digitally updated into the theaters.
Yeah.
So they want to avoid that.
Well, that's a fantastic thing to hear. I mean, again, it is a result of COVID, unfortunately, but it's good that that's a reason why they're doing it, just so that they are putting out the best product that they can put out there. So,
and ultimately, it's a win-win. Like we get a better movie, they get more people in theaters.
Yeah, exactly.
It builds the legacy. So
the thing is, more people in theaters, they get more money, so they want to make more films.
Yeah, exactly. Because that's what we're all looking for is more Marvel movies. Because you know what, 25 is not enough.
Yeah.
All right. So the next thing we have is we also have a quick little comment from a particular actor talking about a particular role that he has. And so basically, Bill Murray has mentioned that he is in an MCU movie. He's in one movie. He doesn't mention what the movie, and that's it. He's done. He's just a one and done sort of role. So in the very near future, Bill Murray is going to be in an MCU movie. there's no idea who it is, who he's playing, where he's going to be, what he's going to show up to be. It could be anything. And knowing it's Bill Murray, anywhere in the MCU, he can fit in perfectly fine. Now,
Well, we know it's Ant-Man, right? The third Ant-Man movie, but
Yeah,
does
who's he
anybody have
doing
any
it?
guesses? I have none.
It's not even confirmed it's the Ant-Man movie. He was on Jimmy
Oh.
Kimmel last night.
He
and
was saying
he was asked straight out because he did an interview with a German magazine.
Yes, that
they're
was
saying
the German
it's Caesar
magazine.
Ant-Man, but he's not confirming or denying what film it was.
but he was saying he took the role because of the director, and that was the Ant-Man director.
Yes, no, it is Peyton.
Peyton Reed.
Peyton Reed, yes, Peyton Reed. He mentioned that, yes, because he mentioned one of the director's earlier movies, which is a Peyton Reed movie and all that. So it's obviously it is obviously that. I don't know,
but he can't confirm or deny it because of the.
Of course, because he's a professional. He's been in this business a while. He knows how to work the audience here.
Well, not only that, but the thing is,
Bill fucking Murray is what he is.
Bill fucking Murray.
So it's also, you got to remember. I mean, MCU's NDAs. You know, he probably just doesn't want to fuck with it. So if like, are you an Ant-Man? He's like, I can't say.
Right.
That's all he's gonna say is I can't say.
Yeah.
Even though everyone's like, well, it's got to be that one. He's like, yeah, but I can't say. So yeah.
But even if it wasn't, that would be the way that Bill Murray would handle it. Even if he was allowed to do it, Bill Murray just for shits and giggles would just say, I can't say.
I just the fact that I read that they get Bill Murray gets into movies because people leave messages on his answering service, and if he's feeling up to it, he'll respond and like send me a script or I don't want it, and that's it. It's hitter. It's not like someone like an agent runs up to him and goes, "This is the script for you." It doesn't work that way. He's been in the industry long enough. The scripts come to him, and he decides if he's going to. And he's not even the script; just someone calls him, and he decides to answer. And he likes the message on the answering machine. It'd be nice to have that sort of freedom and flexibility.
Yeah, so in this article, and who knows if it's legit, but it is saying it is Ant-Man 3. So yeah, it'll be interesting. I always like seeing different actors come into the Marvel Cinematic Universe. Like when Elaine showed up, that was fun. When there's characters that from other things. And now that everything's gotten so big for Marvel, again, 25 movies, characters, it's like they're going to bring in all the actors at some point. Eventually, Hollywood will be the Marvel Cinematic Universe, and everybody gets to play.
Here's the quote I have from Murray. It was, "Well, I'm not supposed to say they're making a movie, okay? It has Paul Rudd, who plays Ant-Man, and there's Evangeline Lilly, who plays the Wasp, and Michael Douglas, I forget what his name is in the movie, Michelle Pfeiffer, they're all in the movie, but I'm not at liberty to talk about it." So he names actors, all but says it, and he's like, but I can't say.
Right.
That's Bill Murray.
That's so good.
All right. So one of the other ones, we're going to jump to another universe, and we are getting some information that the new Batgirl the new Batgirl movie that's being made for HBO, I believe it is. HBO
I get
Max.
so confused between the TV shows and movies.
Yeah, exactly. I think it's a HBO Max movie of Batgirl, where we have the character of Firefly being played by Brendan Fraser. So Brendan Fraser playing a bad guy. I'm all there. I'm there right there for that, because Brendan Fraser we're in a resurrection of his career as of late. And he's already in DC to begin with. He's in the what is it? Where he's done the voice of the robot.
Doom Patrol.
Doom Patrol. Thank you.
Right.
Yes, he's doing the voice of Doom Patrol for that sort of thing. So he's in the network to begin with, I guess. But so this is kind of cool. There's not much more that we know about what Batgirl is going to be about, but the fact that we have now Brendan Fraser as Firefly, which I take it is going to more than likely be the bad guy for the movie. I highly doubt you get Brendan Fraser to be someone's stooge. But again, like you said, you never know. I mean, and to wrap up our sort of news articles and all that, well, it's just been released It's just been Warner Brothers has decided, hey, you know what? Dune made enough money. We're going to make a sequel.
Yeah, finally.
So they decided to wait until a week after the North American release to say, yeah, you know what? I think we're going to make part two. Yeah, bullshit. You were going to make part two from the get-go. You just wanted to make it seem like you wanted to get all those people angry going to the theaters and going like, wait, is that the end of the movie? What the hell's all that?
Well, they were just waiting for us to have the podcast so we could discuss it and build up
Exactly.
the hype.
Exactly.
Yeah.
If
They're
we
waiting on
didn't
us.
build up the hype, then
Yeah, it's all us. It's all us.
Which, speaking of the first one, I'm seeing that tomorrow.
Yes.
Oh, do you want us to tell you what happens, Gavin?
Well, technically, if
Does it
you've seen
follow
the
the plot line of the book, maybe?
yeah, pretty much. Yeah.
Okay.
From what I hear,
Half the
from what I-
book.
It's
Anyway,
sand. It
From
gets
what-
everywhere. It's irritating. I don't like it.
Yeah, I hate sand.
Of course.
it gets everywhere.
Ugh.
So now we're going to move on to our next segment. We're going to do our second version of the new segment that we are calling Defending Your Role. And again, for those that don't know what happens is what we're doing is we have a subject. We have a subject that has 6 categories. Those 6 categories are given a numeric number 1 through 6. And each of the contestants, which are your hosts here, we each roll a single 6-sided die, and whichever number we land on, that is the subject that we have to defend as the best out of that collection of subjects. Our first one, which was, I guess, some sort of success, was our Batman.
I call that a success.
That was definitely a success.
The fight was thrown.
And I still tied. What the hell?
So this week we are doing a bit of a spooky sort of season twist on it, and we are going to be doing Defending Your Role, the Universal Monsters. So this is going back to the original 30s, 40s, 50s versions of these characters. And out of the 6, we are going to be defending, the 4 of us are going to be defending 4 of these 6. To let you know in advance, the 2 that didn't get picked are Dracula and the Wolfman, which is
insane because they're like 2 of the most favorite.
Yeah, and again, I'd be able to friggin' talk the Wolfman till like the sun comes up, sort of thing. But anyways, so to begin with, I believe we're gonna go. I can't remember who got which numbers. I believe
I got number 2. So if we're going in order
yeah,
that
2,
way.
3, 4. Gavin's last. So yeah, Mike, you're first with the Invisible Man. Michael, defend your role.
So this is a whole different experience than defending George Clooney, because I actually have some things I can say and defend about this one. So looking at all the different Universal monsters, this is the one character who technically isn't a monster. If you look at Frankenstein, who is a reanimated corpse, the creature from the Black Lagoon, like a sea monster type person. Mummy, again, resurrected creature. Dracula, werewolf, all of them are legit monsters. This is just some dude who kind of turned invisible. But there's something that's even more terrifying about that, because he is just a regular man. So this is a character who is basically doing the things that other people would do in the shadows, except he doesn't have to do in the shadows because he's completely invisible. So it taps into the darkness of humanity. And you think of any person who tries to get away with murder or get away with anything evil, like, you don't want to be seen. And this is a character that can do that all the time, and he does. So again, tapping into that sort of dark nature of humanity and turning it into a horror monster is really neat. Because he falls into more of the science hero villain, it reminds me a lot of all the Spider-Man villains. Like comic book Spider-Man was always my favorite hero, and all of his villains, at least all my favorite ones, were always science villains. And the Invisible Man falls into that category as a science villain. in terms of the movie, that was interesting to see because when the movie was made, what was it, like 1933 or something like that? This is back before people could wear the green screen outfits and, turn people invisible. So as far as a special effect, watching the old black and white movie was fascinating. So again, this character was originally created in a novel by H.G. Wells and published back in 1897. So, there's some history to the character and some longevity to it. And he shows up in lots of different renditions of the character, including things like Alan Moore's League of Extraordinary Gentlemen. And to me, in that book, he was one of the most terrifying characters, where the character of Griffin, now you don't see him. Well, the first time you see him, he's basically in like a women's school or convent or something, essentially just raping all the students, like a terrifying character. And in the second novel, where he betrays the whole team, sells them out to the aliens, again, is tapping into the darkness of humanity. And of course, Mr. Hyde says he can see him, and he's been able to see him all along. And he has a terrifying ending. But for me, the most powerful part of The Invisible Man is the fact that it taps into the darkness and humanity. This is a character that does all the things, that can come out of the dark side of your mind, and you could commit if you could get away with it. So for me, that's why he's one of the most terrifying universal monsters.
Not bad.
Alrighty then. Well said, Michael.
Well
Good. Definitely a step up from Clooney. That is for sure. All right.
It was more than just bat nipples.
I had more to work with.
Yes. So I got The Mummy.
All right. So we're just gonna do this the way we're all gonna do it. Hey, Trevor.
Yes.
Roll.
All right. So I got The Mummy. I started with the 1932 film, and this was pre-code, so before they had ratings on films. And this is all about it's archaeological expedition, and they find the mummy of an Egyptian high priest, Imhotep. You're going to recognize some of these names because of the modern retelling of the same movie. And, mistakes are made. They read from a scroll of life, the scroll of Thoth. The mummy is reanimated, and the mummy is searching for his lost love, Anck-su-namun. So it's, in essence, it's kind of like a love story, because in his mind, he was fated to be with his Egyptian princess Anck-su-namun, but they were separated. He was buried alive, or mummified alive, which I'm gathering is not nice. Anyways, in terms of a horror monster, very similar to a zombie, kind of slower moving, but different from a zombie because you have thought, you have foresight, you have planning. Also, one of the only movie monsters in the Universal group that deals with magic. He has that element of magic that none of the other movie monsters have. So without the magic, he's not reanimated. But as we go through the series, as it was, in 1999, the movie was remade, kind of in some ways modernized, but still kept back in the 30s. And we get more backstory on Imhotep, that he was a magic using high priest, and he fell in love with the pharaoh's wife, Anck-su-namun. He got mummified alive and gets reanimated from the Book of the Dead. And this is where we see the mummy at basically full power. He's a thinking monster with access to magic to a scale that, he brings down destruction and devastation onto an entire town simply because he wills it. And this was followed by several sequels. And the mummy, to me, is one of the more terrifying ones because it's something you really can't fight against. They talk about in the 99 film that he has an aversion to cats because cats were revered by Egyptian culture, but it drives him away, but it doesn't stop him. The only way they figured out to stop him was to, in essence, undo the spell that brought him back, which kind of works, but they have to wait to a second movie to finally end him. But is he really gone? We don't know. But I think it's that element of magic, something that your average layman does not have access to. Like, Dracula, anyone can slap together a cross and stake him in the heart, and the Wolfman. Silver's not that uncommon of a metal to find. I'm not going to talk about the other movie monsters because I don't want to make this he said, she said, back and forth sort of thing. So I'm talking about the monsters that we didn't get picked. So if I had to choose between the Wolfman, Dracula, or a mummy, I would happily take the other two to be coming after me than the mummy. Because the mummy means, depending on what version of the film, I am going to die a very horrible and painful and slow as he takes my life force and basically mummifies me. And if you somehow manage to get your way all the way to the Tom Cruise version in 2017, which I hope you don't ever do, even though it was a really sad attempt to restart the dark universe. To me, I've developed selective amnesia. I can't remember who was in that film and why it was taken from being a mummy movie to a Tom Cruise movie. Anyways, so that's why I think the mummy of the monsters we have is the best of the Universal monsters.
All righty then. This is good, pretty good points there, Mr. Brown. Mr. Brown, yes. All right. So I'm going to defend my role.
Right. Defend your role.
Thank you. So to begin with, I want to express the fact that I was raised with the Universal monsters. So we're just going to start off with that. When I was very young and I started to watch these movies, these are the characters that I was exposed to at a very young age. Besides my parents encouraging me to watch these types of movies, two influences I had as a child, again, other than my parents, were from the local TV station in London, Ontario, that had one of those Saturday afternoon programs that would show all the available to the public, all those monster movies from like the 50s, 60s, and 70s. And it was called Soups On. And it's actually spelt Soups as in the abbreviation of Superman's name, Soups On. So it was this host that dressed up in like a blue like jumpsuit with a red pair of trunks and a haphazard S on his shirt sort of thing and all that. They would just host this. And the other one was a show that aired on TVO that was called Saturday Night at the Movies, where the host, EOE host, would have each of the classic movies that he would accompany with it with some sort of video essay. And we usually went into like behind the scenes, making of, interviews with people, either historians about old Hollywood or actually anyone that was still living and all that. He always had trivia about filming locations and whatnot. And that's the sort of thing that at the time in my life, I would gobble all that information up and all of that. So that's when my love of movies had developed. So when it comes to the Universal monsters, I was and am very well versed in Bela Lugosi's Dracula, Lon Chaney Jr.'s Wolfman, Boris Karloff's Frankenstein monster, and the Mummy. Claude Rains was the Invisible Man. Then something went wrong for I'm sorry, I'm getting off topic here. However, I at the time had a blind spot for the creature from Black Lagoon, or as he's actually known in the movie as Gillman. And I never saw any of the three features that had that particular monster. I didn't think, I was aware of the character, but I never actually sought out those particular movies. But I didn't know of the character as an actual character until 1987. And at 16 years old, I saw the film The Monster Squad, which like its predecessors of Goonies and The Explorers, movies where a band of kids on an adventure interact with different adversaries like gangsters and pirates and aliens. These kids went up against the classic Universal monsters, or at least a version of them. Plus by this time, I'm aware of the creature, the Gill Man, and all that, but I never had drawn that. However, this movie had changed my mind about not wanting to know about the Gill Man and all that. Not only the fact that it was an interesting character to see, but it was because it was also at a time when I was into the special effects makeup. I was into the costuming. I was into the, ooh, how is this done and all that. And the fact that this was an all-encompassing costume, this made me want to go back and search out the creature of the Black Lagoon. So the Gill Man, is commonly known as the creature, is the main antagonist in the 1954 black and white science fiction film Creature from the Black Lagoon, and its two sequels, Revenge of the Creature from 1955, and then The Creature Walks Among Us in 1956. His popularity as an iconic monster of cinema has led to numerous cameos appearances. Now, again, all the other Universal monsters have also done this as well. They've had cameos and other things and all that. But like Gillman's appeared in The Munsters. There was an actual musical stage show in 2009 based on Creature from the Black Lagoon. And then there was the Guillermo del Toro's reimagining of the character in 2017's Shape of Water. So, but despite that, Gillman is the one to appear in the fewest of the Universal classic monsters. But not only is Gillman, well, to go into it, there's a history of what Gillman comes from, and Gillman, his creation stems from a time when the producer, William Adlin, was attending a dinner party during the filming of Orson Welles' Citizen Kane in 1941. He overheard a story about someone talking about the myth of a rare half fish, half human creatures of the river, the Amazon River, sorry. Alan wrote a story notes titled The Sea Monster, and then 10 years later, with various designs of the Gillman, he made this character that he made into the creature. Cool thing is the design of the creature, the look of the creature is actually from Millicent Patrick, who is a Disney Imagineer who created the designs. Now, with history and all that, it's only recently come into that she was the original creator of the design for the creatures, and the makeup artist Bud Westmore took over most of the idea of what of the fair share of, hey, it was my creation sort of thing. But it's only recently come out that this Disney engineer was the one who actually did most of the work on it. So we know that he's got superhuman strength. He's amphibious. He can breathe both on land and in the water. Just from the actual design of the actual costume is fantastic, because it is a completely encompassing costume. You don't see anything of the actual actor except for like the actor's eyes, and everything has to be emoted from his motions. He physically has to be the thing that makes you scared, and that is what it is. And the fact that it's also a costume that can be used underwater. The same one that they use on land is the same one they used in the water. So it was an amphibious costume and all that. So the fact that the character not only is out of all the Universal monsters, he is the most modernly written character, but his history makes him the oldest one, because according to the movies, he goes back to, he's like the last surviving member of his race. He is a race of amphibious humanoids, which flourished during the Devonian Age, which is a geological period that spans like 60.3 million years ago. So, I mean, this character is older than any of the other characters. Well, his species is older than the other character, and he's the last surviving one and all that. But the fact that he is also a tragic character, he has it's the first movie itself is like a Beauty and the Beast sort of thing. It's like King Kong. It's like he falls in love with this woman, and you've seen the classic scenes where the woman is swimming and all that, and this guy is underneath her and all that. And it's just the fact that this character is pretty much indestructible.
Like King Kong with swimsuits.
Yeah, exactly. He can't be killed by gunfire. He obviously breathes underwater and has gills, and he actually develops as the movies progress, he actually develops breathing lungs, and he actually metamorphoses into more of a humanoid character and all that. So the fact that this character can evolve so quickly is one of the main reasons why he is a fantastic character. And the look of him is iconic. I mean, you've got the Widow's Peak for Bela Lugosi, you've got the bolts for Frankenstein, you've got the transforming face, you've got the goggles with the wrapped head for the Invisible Man, and the Mummy with the fez and whatnot sort of thing. But for me, the Creature from the Black Lagoon is the best of the Universal monsters, just because it is so different than any of the other ones. So that's why he is the best of the Universal monsters. That's all I got to say about that.
You just like the swimsuits. Admit it.
Yeah. I mean, we could go into this later, but it's time for Gavin to defend his role.
Sorry, that's better. Thank you. Which Universal monster is best? Who could say? Mary Shelley's Dr. Frankenstein might claim to that. How many monsters were created in the horror shop version of Build-A-Bear? The insult that one was just a bunch of spare parts is not exactly an insult when it's true. The monster is spare parts. Seeing as the former part owners have no need of them, strength, endurance, an insatiable childlike wonder, he may cower in fear of a flaming torch, but really, who doesn't recoil from fire when it's thrust upon them? How many monsters could have a change of mind by literally changing the mind? It's brain surgery, not rocket science. If he loses a limb, he can go to Henry's house of scrapyard parts, also known as a graveyard, and have his pick of the mausoleums. One of Dr. Frankenstein's pro tips: when looking for the best parts, look for the freshest flowers. The price guarantee is that it's free. Dr. Frankenstein built his monster with parts, but of course the most vital part is electricity. A bolt straight from the heavens awoke this beast. The primordial element of life itself brought this creature to sentience. What other monster is born from the pure fury of the sky itself? Nature itself gave life to this creature right through those iconic bolts in his neck. Dr. Frankenstein's monster is easily the most understood creature. He didn't ask to be created. He didn't down a potion or was the product of some Egyptian curse. His childlike wonder caused him to experience things like a game introduced by a child throwing flowers into a lake. Everywhere he goes, he attracts an unruly mob, and par for the course, all branding torches and pitchforks. Can't forget the pitchforks. Without even attempting to understand the situation, like the aforementioned flower tossing game, they rush in and attack. The monster didn't understand the rules of the flower game, and when he ran out of flowers, he thought that throwing the girl in after was part of it. Sure, she drowned, but the monster didn't realize that. All he knew that was new friend go blub blub, and no more friend. He was terrified. Of course he ran, all because of a simple misunderstanding. He even learned the word friend. Who could ignore such a plaintive plea for companionship? You've heard of the phrase built to order. The monster was given a chance at true love with Dr. Frankenstein and his mentor by building a bride. Sure, she recoiled in horror at him, but how many can truly say that love is easy? The monster even had a best friend. The Wolfman freed the monster from an icy tomb, and like many best friends, even came to blows over a woman. She was the daughter of Dr. Frankenstein. They may have gotten swept away from a flood while fighting, but surely they made up over a couple of beers. At the end of the day, even death can't stop the juggernaut that is Frankenstein's creation. When you see countless times when the monster is engulfed in an inferno and left for dead, he always turns up in the next movie, perhaps under the control of Igor, duking out with the Wolfman. He even had the pleasure of meeting Dracula and Abbott and Costello. But like all things with a monster, he would fall in a blazing conflagration with Abbott and Costello swimming away in terror. Who could blame them? Dracula, the Wolfman, and the monster all tried to kill them. But fire, the monster, he'll be back. He's always back.
Why do I want to see Adam West Batman team up with Frankenstein right now?
Right?
That was pretty impressive there. Yeah,
I wrote it all down because there's no way I could get through that just ad-libbing.
Yeah. That was wow. Okay. All right. I think no matter what, I think we all got to step up our descriptions there a little more. I thought, wow. Okay. So here's what it is. What we're going to do is we're going to now rely on the listening public to basically choose out of those 4 choices who basically did the best at defending their role. Is it Michael, who had done the Invisible Man? Is it Trevor, who did the Mummy? Is it Troy, who did Gilman or the Creature? Or is it Gavin that defended Frankenstein's monster? So what you're going to do is you're going to go to our different social medias. That we have a Facebook, we have a Twitter, we have an Instagram, we also have a YouTube, and just there will be links at the end of this recording where you'll be able to go to those things, and there will be devoted actual posts to that particular subject matter, and you can please put your vote in any comments or something like that. I believe there will be polls set up as well, and you can vote on those as well. So now what we're going to do is, because again,
Here, I want to add something to that.
Oh, please go right ahead, Mr.
If
Michael.
you are voting on social media and you have an opinion, to clarify it, add that, because
Yes.
I'm curious what other people think. Like, why are the Universal monsters your specific one? Why is that your favorite? Because it's always fascinating. We've all made our cases, but I'm very curious to see what everybody else thinks as well.
That actually is
What's the
a
reasoning?
good idea. Yes, more input. Don't just say, "Hey, the Mummy." Why do you think the Mummy wins out of this? Is it just
He's
because?
awesome.
Is it just because he's awesome? Is it because Trevor had a compelling argument and all that? It's basically what we're
Yes,
getting at.
and
all that.
yes.
Yes, exactly.
Oh,
Because
stop it, Trevor.
because Trevor's
Coach.
ego.
Oh,
Trevor's ego is a
Kaufman.
little deflated from last time because Ben Affleck came in last place.
Quiet, you.
All right. So that being said, we're going to go on to our final sequence of the evening and of the podcast, because you're probably may not be listening to this evening. We're recording this in the evening. Actually, we're recording this in the morning for some of us because it is now 1 o'clock in the morning. Just for those of you listening. Yeah. So we're going to go on to the segment called Adam Asks. And this is where one of our participating outsiders sends us a message every once in a while. And here's what Adam asks this time. Lightyear, Solo, Bumblebee. Clearly, these are origin stories that are begging to be told. Others like Solo and Lightyear are clearly only around to make a quick geek dollar. What origin story, main, secondary lead, or movie within a movie do you want the most told, and by whom?
I'll go.
His examples, Angels with Filthy Souls, starring Bryan Cranston and directed by the Wachowskis, is obvious. But what have you always wanted them to be, and what POS Hobbs and Shaw wannabe have you wanted to bury forever, like so many ET cartridges in the New Mexico landfill? So let's go. Well, obviously, Mr. Brown on a podcast that is audio has decided to raise his hand, as I believe. Mike, what do you have to say about this?
Well, I have some ideas.
No, go on, Trevor. Trevor, go before you explode on us.
No. That's fine. I'll.
No.
No,
Go,
no,
go,
go,
I want to hear
Trevor.
what other
go,
people have to
Trevor.
say.
No, we're all
Mike,
gonna mute our mics so that you can talk. Go ahead.
No. Mike, come on. Mike, go ahead.
All right, I will cut in then, since I
All
have the floor. So, and it might not be surprising based on things I've talked about in previous podcasts, but
Naruto.
A couple came to mind. That's on the list. Obi-Wan is a character I would like to see a backstory. Luckily,
We're gonna
we're
get
going to
one.
be getting this series. And so I'm really excited about that. The prequel trilogy, I didn't think did justice to the character. And to see Ewan McGregor come back and embody Obi-Wan, especially now that he's a little bit older, to the fact it's most likely going to be starting on Tatooine. And I'm very curious to see what happens there. So I really like the backstory of Obi-Wan Kenobi. Gandalf, that's a character that I would like to see some stuff. And again, I think it's Amazon, right, who has the rights to the
Yeah.
Tolkien backstory.
Yep.
That's one that could possibly get made. But again, it's these wizard characters that I'm fascinated with these days. But then from the Naruto universe, Jiraiya. And this is one they've done lots of flashbacks to the character throughout the series. But the idea of that legendary Sannin, those 3 ninja warriors, from the previous generation, there's so much backstory. He's just this dumb punk kid who just kind of lucks out and starts getting trained by toads and becomes this epicenter of the entire universe, where he's trained by the 3rd Hokage. He himself trains the 4th Hokage. And then the 4th Hokage trains the 5th Hokage, and then he trains the 7th Hokage. The 6th Hokage was his partner. Like, there's so much backstory and universe, and such an opportunity to tell an in-depth story. So 2 of them are getting made. One of them was done in flashbacks, but those would be my 3 picks for an extended universe: Obi-Wan, Gandalf, Jiraiya. And as far as what would be thrown into the New Mexico desert, I would have to say the Star Wars sequel trilogy. Like, just chuck that whole thing in the desert and bury it forever. Believe it.
Yeah.
Well, I don't have a particular series that I would say it should burn up in. No, wait. There's Highlander. That's definitely something. Highlander 2.
I'll give you points on Highlander 2. Yeah, we can definitely take Highlander 2 and bury it in New
There was
Mexico.
a Highlander 2. I conveniently scrubbed that part of my memory.
Yeah,
clean.
exactly. Yeah,
the
yeah,
brain
yeah.
bleach.
Yeah.
Drink that stuff down. As for a prequel that I think I would like to see.
Well, it actually doesn't really have to be a prequel. It could be like you take a singular character out of it and like explore it. Like basically have your Lando Calrissian movie or something like
Okay, then
The Optimus Prime origin story.
that. That's a good one too. There you go. We've already given you 2, Gavin. You come up with a 3rd.
Well, definitely Prime origin story, but I mean that's
Like as in the original
bunch of
or as in
versions
the
I've done
Prime original. Anyways, go on.
there's
the
been a bunch of
Megatron
that
story?
done in various
The
forms
Prime
of
story,
media.
yes. The
I'd like
Prime
to see the
story
Megatron
about
story.
Prime.
I would like to see a prequel or a sequel to the Iron Giant. The race that built the Iron Giants.
That good one. I like that. Yeah.
I would also love to see the sequel to the Iron Giant, where the Iron Giant is now reassembled, reunited with Hogarth, but now the creators have come to the planet to find out what has happened to their lost Iron Giant. That's something I think is, for me at least, has been kind of preying on my mind every time I watch the Iron Giant. What happens next? What happens next? Come on, Bird, give me a sequel.
All right.
All right.
Wow.
All right. I'm gonna go with first of all, I know we can't have the original people involved with it because they're just too old, but I want to see Escape from Chicago. I want to see the original Snake Plissken storyline. I want to see what the hell they were all referring to. Now, of course, I mean, you could do it in any number of ways. You're either going to recast or you're going to do some sort of Disney de-aging thing, but I mean, that's just going to cost so much money. But I want to see what.
Get his son.
You know what? Yeah, that'd be a good idea. That'd be a good idea because he could probably, just throw the proper mullet on him. And you know what? Yeah, there's a good idea. That is a great idea. Get his son to Yeah, exactly. But
That's it, Gavin. Get this movie made.
yeah, there you go. There you go,
Yeah,
Gavin.
come on.
Yeah, you get the
Go,
ideas. There
go.
he goes. There he goes. Go, Gavin. Go, Gavin. Well, he is actually closer to California than we are, so there's a good chance that he'd be able to do that. But it'll probably be shot in Vancouver anyways, so he's
Yeah.
a little exhausted there. A little. The other thing I want to see, and I'm going to stick to Star Wars, is I want to see a Vader being Vader. I want to see Darth Vader hunting down the last of the Jedi. I want to see what we're probably going to see in Obi-Wan, but I want to see the badass Vader that we saw at the end of Rogue One. I want to see before he gets to Rogue One, because obviously that we then go into slow moving Vader because it's an older gentleman in the costume sort of thing. But I want to see I want to see the Darth Vader that we are currently seeing in the comics. I want to see that action-packed Vader where he is the main character. He is dealing with the fact that he is dark side and the universe. He's trying to pull the universe together, assisting the Emperor in keeping control of the universe, sort of thing. That I want to see. Now the completely get rid of sort of thing is I'm sorry, but I just recently saw the most recent last two Tremor movies. Ouch. Yeah, I know exactly. I didn't realize they were out there, so I'm like, oh my god, there's more Tremor movies. Yay, all right. And yeah, 6 and 7. No, I'm sorry. No, those got to go away. Those you should have stopped. Like there was the fourth one where they went back into the beginning of perfection, which was fine, and then one that happened after it, which was a more modern update, and that was a nice way to end it. But then this was totally a money grab, sort of, hey, then the idea is up, let's make a movie sort of thing, and it just didn't. Again, both were direct to DVD. I don't even think there's Blu-ray versions of it. That's how bad these movies are. But
I assume Michael Gross was not involved.
Michael Gross was involved. Oh, one takes place. Oh, yes, the last one takes place. It's the whole entire. Oh, it's on a island that people pay money to hunt the shriekers, the evolved versions of the grapoids that turn into the little shrieker things. But they get out of control, so they call in Michael Gross to help exterminate them, because it's a whole entire Jurassic Park like 3 sort of thing where they get Sam Neill and like, no, I have no idea how to hunt dinosaurs and all that sort of thing. But
this movie sounds pretty exciting. I think I actually want to watch it.
It's so badly done. Oh, here comes the Penelope, everyone. Hello, Penelope. She's so sleepy. Well, she should go to sleep then.
She's gonna
Okay, then.
go pee.
All right, she's gonna go pee, then go to sleep. All right. I will take. Yes.
Laundry's in there.
All right then. So yeah, there's my votes for the 2. I mean, there's some other ones, but I mean, the ones that stick on those, I want to see Snake Plissken. I want to see active Darth Vader. I want to see that. So, Mr. Brown, unfortunately,
Yes.
we're out of time, so we're just going to count this
All right,
up.
everybody. Yeah, tune in next week.
Collective goodbye.
Go ahead, Trev. What do you got to say?
All right. So
It better be worth it after all this. This better be
you want me
worth
to do
it.
the please make or the destroy and forget first? Which one?
Everything. Just
You
do
just
it.
throw it out. Just throw it all out there.
All right. So for the please make, I want to see the full backstory of Nolan from Predators. He's Lawrence Fishburne's
okay.
character.
Yeah.
I want to see how he survived 7 seasons, 9 seasons on that Predator world and how he adapted the Predator technology for his own personal use. I want to see his story, and I want Neil Blomkamp to direct the damn thing. So it looks awesome and is a great story.
Oh yeah, I didn't even think of who are we going to get to do this sort of thing? Yeah.
Now, next one, I want to see the Lucius story, Frozone, as done by Brad Bird. Either I want to see after The Incredibles 2 or when Frozone was first starting out, his adventures as a hero. I want Brad Bird to make it, so that way it'll be at least be somewhat good. Yeah. And the last one, I want Bruce Timm to do it. I want to see an Ultra Shaggy animated film where Shaggy has like the cosmic ultimate power where he can kick everyone's ass. I want to look it up where there's an animated opening where he kicks the shit out of Scorpion, as part of the Warner Brothers opening trailer thing.
Really? Okay.
Yeah. There's this whole thing of like Shaggy he's part of a new game, and he's basically like an ultra version of him, like can basically beat anyone. He's got ultimate cosmic power. I want to see it. I want to see a whole movie. I want to see.
You're talking about Scooby-Doo Shaggy.
Yeah, Shaggy. Look it up. It's great. I want to see Shaggy, with the gang and somehow be granted all this ultimate cosmic power, and just march his way through all this like all these demons and whatnot, and then realize the point where it's boring being this ultimate power. I'm going to set it aside and go hang out with Scooby and have some, smoke some weed and eat some snacks. But I want to see this animated film. I want it done by Bruce Timm. I want to see the Ultra Shaggy movie. Like a nice, look it up. It's great. It's because
it took me a second or two to remember what you were talking about. I'm like, it sounds familiar. And then as soon as you started, like, oh yes, I know what you were talking about now. But Bruce Timm. Yeah, I can see that.
He's under the Warner Brothers banner. He could do it.
Is this a natural thing? I'm just doing a quick Google search now, and I'm seeing it's like stills and stuff. But
look it up on YouTube. There's a little animated Warner Brothers thing where you've got
Scorpion. What's the name of it?
It's just look up Ultra Shaggy. So those are the three films I'd like to see them make: the Nolan from Predators, the Ultra Shaggy animated, and the Frozone from Brad Bird. Movies I feel they could just destroy and forget: Penguins of Madagascar, a completely unnecessary film. They were fine in the films Madagascar. Did they really need their own goddamn film? No, they didn't. Just destroy it. Puss in Boots. Again, Shrek films were fine. Did we really need to take that off character and tell a meaningless fucking story with it? No. Honestly, the film is so bad, my girls won't even watch it when it comes on TV.
That's not a good sign.
It's just a terrible fucking movie. And the last one, Maleficent. The one with Angelina Jolie.
Yeah.
The reason why I don't like that film, it's the same reason why I don't like the prequel movies. I don't need to see the origin of a big bad character, because it just ends up ripping the fangs out of them and making them, I just want to make the character relatable. I don't want a big bad character like Maleficent or Darth Vader. I don't want them relatable. I want to be fucking terrified of them. I want to be, if I ended up having to go against them, I don't want to be like, oh, look, it's Annie, or, oh, it's the misunderstood fairy. I don't want that. I want to have that mystery of this character is such a badass that probably was spawned from hate and just absolute aggression. I don't want to go. That's why I like playing the Kingdom Hearts game and you go up against Maleficent, or the House of Villains from Mickey Mouse.
Yeah.
Maleficent
is the big
bad. Is terrifying. She's the big bad. I don't want to find out that she was misunderstood and the king tried to, be bad to her bullshit. Don't denude the character's level of maleficent or malevolence. Don't try to rip that away and make the character relatable. To me, it's you're just disrespecting the character. It's like when we found out that, as bad as Vader was, there was someone worse with the Emperor. So suddenly Vader got kind of knocked down the pole a bit in terms of just how dangerous he was. But with like a movie like Maleficent, you had a character who, she turned into a dragon. She luckily, Prince was able to have that magic sword and fling it at just the right time. But up until that point, she was the end all be all of that kingdom. She, the buck stopped with her in terms of just sheer evil. But then they come out with this movie and a sequel of just garbage.
I have to jump in here because I agree 100% with what you're saying. The thing about villain movies, and which is why they bother me so much, is because it's always scarier when it's in your head, right? When you're telling the backstory, it's like, oh, this poor soul had a rough childhood. That's not interesting. When it is this absolute horror character, like just the same way you guys were talking about modern movie horror characters, where it's this unstoppable force that's just coming to maul you. that's a lot more scary because you don't know how that started. And by telling the backstory, it just waters down the whole essence of the character.
It's the fear of that unknown that makes that character that much. I mean, I remember first time I saw Vader in the theater, damn near crap my pants. You know, big, tall, black, imposing coming through, immediately started choking the guy. I was just like, oh God. I was almost hiding under my seat. But, you know, and even through all the way up through before the prequel movies, Vader was, even, you know, he redeemed himself in Return of the Jedi. That's fine. But then in the prequel movies where you find he's Annie, that was just complete injustice to the character.
The best pilot of the galaxy. Whoops.
Yeah.
That's how you defeated them, is with whoops.
Whoops. And the barrel rolls fun. Yeah, it was just like you took a character that was so dark and malevolent and scary. It's Annie. I mean, how can you take the character serious at all? Yeah. And then with Maleficent, again, it's a movie so bad that if it comes on TV, my girls won't watch it because they've seen Sleeping Beauty. Josie loves Sleeping Beauty. She is right, I think rightfully so, scared of the character of Maleficent.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
The movie came on, Maleficent, and she started watching it, and she's like, Dad, I don't like this. Yeah, because it's taking all the mystery out of that character. It's taking all the scariness out of that character. So then you go back and watch Sleeping Beauty again. You're like, the misunderstood fairy. Oh, you have no fear for it anymore. And it's you know, you lose the entire impact of what that character stood for when we first see them in their original outing. So that's why, for me, Penguins of Madagascar, a completely unnecessary movie. Puss in Boots, just as unnecessary, and Maleficent because of the disservice it did to the character from Sleeping Beauty as the big bad, and in other, you know, other things that she has been in, as I said, like the House of Villains or Kingdom Hearts, where she is a big bad. You know, it's something for you as a character, if you're playing a video game or if you're the viewer watching the movie, to fear, and then you watch the movie Maleficent and you're like, oh, she was just misunderstood. No. So all three of those movies could get buried deeper than the ET cartridges, and it would make me a very happy gentleman.
Now, there is something that when they do like either prequels or sequels that actually works really well, because I mean, now I'm not talking about, you know, super ultra flippy flip Yoda from the prequels. You know, when you see him in you know, The Empire Strikes Back, you know, he's old, he's feeble. And just that little part of your head basically rationalizes, well, he's basically a puppet. So there's no way he could be that you know, that amazing as a fighter. Then the prequels happen and we see, you know, super flippy Yoda. They push that a little too far. But when you see in Empire Strikes Back, you see IG-88 for the first time, and he's just like this motionless, barely moving, you know, like, oh dear, you know, he had the flexibility of C-3PO. But then we see the Mandalorian, where you see the IG robot basically just like his body twisting and turning, arms like whipping back and forth, and suddenly, holy shit, that's what an IG-8 robot should look like when he's fighting. So there are some aspects, if they did it right, can make them even cooler.
I think the prequel movies concentrated on the wrong character. I think if the three prequel movies had been concentrating on Obi-Wan Kenobi, that would have been a bit. You know, the first movie we don't even see a hide, or we don't even see a shred of Anakin anywhere. Maybe at the very end, and he's, you know, someone who's maybe a couple of years younger. He's already at the Jedi Temple. He started his training late. He's already got, you know, that current of anger running through him, and he's paired with Obi-Wan not as master and apprentice, but as Jedis. You know, maybe some of him can rub off on you, sort of thing. Then in the second movie, we're still following Obi-Wan more than we're following Anakin. Then we get to the third movie, where Anakin has been seduced by the dark side, and the onus has been put onto Obi-Wan to end that threat. But can he end the threat of his own friend, his best friend? That would have been a better set of prequels. Instead of seeing Jake Lloyd running around as Annie, trying to humanize Darth Vader.
I think that's the problem when you make a movie about villains, because for all the reasons we've talked about, it just disservices the character. Now, if Obi-Wan is the hero of the Clone Wars and Anakin's his mistake that kind of slipped through his fingers that made him the failed Jedi, there's something more powerful about that. But watching a hero, like, unless it's Michael Douglas falling down, like if you want to make a movie about a character just going on a rampage because he's completely lost his mind, okay, there's a place for that, but not in the heroic archetype. It just doesn't work ever.
Yeah, I always thought of Obi-Wan as a hero. He would be the hero through the prequel movies. As part of his failure, he's trying to get redemption for Anakin's son. So there you have the original movies where Luke Skywalker is the hero, and Obi-Wan's basically the pillar propping him up to kind of like, here's your path, here's the path of being a hero. Walk upon it. I'll take you as far as I can, but then maybe come back as a Force ghost and ruin your day from here to here. And then we have the sequel movies, but it just, I think they picked the wrong character to focus on in the prequel movies. Those should have been the Anakin, those should have been the Obi-Wan movies. Yep. 1, 2, and 3 should be about Obi-Wan. 3, 4, 5, 6 about Luke, and then 6, 7, 8 or 7, 8, 9, sorry, about whoever else they're going to get. But to me, that's why it was such a disservice to Darth Vader to see him as a little kid, to see him as the whiny teenager, to hear him talk about how he hates sand. I couldn't care fucking less. What I wanted to see, I wanted to see Obi-Wan, by the end of the first movie, when he loses his master and his is elevated to Jedi Knight and is teamed with another Jedi Knight because now the Clone Wars are starting. They don't have to be the impetus for what's starting the Clone Wars in the second movie. The Clone Wars could be starting for something else. You're paired with another Jedi, just happens to be a guy named Skywalker, bit of a hothead. And then during the second movie, we see how they're, while working together, they're also drifting apart in terms of their ideals. Whereas, Obi-Wan's trying to protect life and Anakin's willing to take life. And then by the third movie, you see Anakin fall to the dark side as Obi-Wan rises in the light side and then is given the task of trying to stop or redeem his friend. And when he can't redeem him and stops him in such a permanent way, then he, then says, well, maybe as a way of redemption, I can at least make sure your kids survive, sort of thing. That would have been a movie a trilogy I could follow, because we're not pulling the teeth out of Darth Vader. We're not turning him into that little kid Annie. And that's, again, when you make movies about villains where we try to share their backstory and make the audience connect with them and shed a tear, it's just such a giant disservice.
I want to do a timey-wimey back to what Gavin said about IG-88, because Mandalorian with the IG-11, because we had the prequel trilogy and the robots, the Roger. It's like, no. The robot should be like what I pictured IG-88 to be. And then the fact that the Mandalorian gave us that, and the fact that the animation was robotic and the head spiraling and the arms are going out and twisting and turning and doing all that kind of fun stuff. Like when we played with those action figures back as children, like that's exactly the way I pictured the character to be. So as a way to enhance something, and again, Mandalorian did this so well, is to take all these elements of Star Wars, like it's the toy box that you played with as a child, come to the screen, come to life, modern technology, good animation, and it kept the essence. So I'm 100% on board with the IG-88, IG-11 thing.
I will initiate self-destruct.
Exactly. Like that was that character arc in that show did not diminish IG-88. If anything, even though we never saw IG-88 in action, it sparked our imagination to imagine, well, what if IG-88 had been the one to go after Han Solo?
Yeah, exactly. Yeah.
How would that have gone different? Because I doubt there would have been, I want him in carbonite. I doubt that would have happened. I think there would have been a couple of corpses.
Well, that was Darth Vader's idea.
It's like, which ones do you want alive? Which ones can I kill? It's like, well, I need Leia. The rest are dead.
Alrighty then. I believe on that note, we're going to call this episode to a very lengthy end, and we're going to be wishing everyone hopefully they have a happy Halloween. This will be, like I said, being dropped on the Sunday morning, so hopefully wherever you are, you had some beautiful weather that you're able to enjoy with your kids or your friends or whoever you're hanging out with. Celebrate however you're
Zombie
celebrating.
apocalypse.
Yeah, the zombie apocalypse. Exactly. However you're celebrating your Halloween, I hope you have a good one. And I guess one thing left to do here, gentlemen, on the count of 3, collective goodbyes. Here we go. And in 1, 2, 3,
Collective goodbye.
I think that's our
Oh my
best
God,
yet.
I think we got it. Everyone was going the right direction with the wave.
Yeah.
Wow. You really got to
And I
watch
will
the
say-
visual
auto
of
tune
this.
that we have an ending.
Yeah, I will say to our listeners, happy Halloween, and we'll catch you in November.
Yes.
And
So
remember, when they tell you to grab the first thing on your right as your zombie apocalypse weapon, I have a feather duster. I'm fucked.
I got a stuffed Mickey. You
I
sit
got
on
a
your
metal
right,
cup.
right? That's my
And
right.
he's got a game controller. We're all screwed. We're done for. I might be able to take down one with a metal cup, but after that, I'm done.
You have just been listening to Geeking Off the Page with your hosts, Mike Kitchen, Gavin Burbage, Trevor Brown, and Troy Bowman. Please be sure to like, subscribe, and share. Also, if you could leave us a rating and comment, that would assist in allowing others to find this podcast more easily. You can follow the podcast on the following social platforms: Instagram and Twitter, search for @PlanetGeekPod, all one word. On Facebook, search for Planet Geek Productions. Or you can send us an email to planetgeekpod@gmail.com. Buy the guys a coffee by going to Ko-Fi, ko-fi.com/planetgeekpod. And know that any and all donations will go towards improving all current and future Planet Geek Productions programs. Thank you for listening.
Spooky, scary skeletons send shivers down your spine. Shrieking skulls will shock your soul, seal your doom tonight.